Greetings, YouTube. Today I'm going to discuss Races of the Wild, a 3.5 D&D book. And this is one of the 3 different races books that came out. This is obviously the one that deals with the outdoorsy races, Elves, Halflings, and a new race known as the Torrents. And the chapters on Elves and Halflings are solid. They present you with all the types of information that you might need to play one of these characters, or if you just have an understanding of the culture so you can play against type if you wanted to play an outcast or someone that doesn't fit in with Elven or Halfling society. But they don't really bring a whole lot new to the table. If you're familiar with 3.0 or 3.5, these are the Elves and the Halflings that are presented for that entire edition. But it is useful and good information, so I think that you should look at it if these races are something that you're into, or if it's something as a GM you're going to use as an antagonist or as a plot point. But the third race here is known as the Torrents, and the Torrents, I can get you a picture right here on the cover, are a winged race. And the Torrents make me think of the bird humanoid that was in the Buck Rogers television series, and it was very cheesy, kind of silly. And that, unfortunately, is the visual message that this race brings to me. Mechanically, I don't have a problem with this race. They have 2 arms, 2 legs, and 2 wings, so they're fully humanoid with wings. And they start out with the ability to glide. They have a glide ratio of, I think, 1 to 4 or something like that. So for every foot they drop, they go 4 feet forward or something like that. I think I might make that glide ratio slightly larger myself as a GM. And they get to like 5th level, and they can start to fly for short bursts as they get better at it. And then at 10th level, they have achieved true flight. Now, the only problem I have with this is that how many Raptorans are ever going to break 10th level? I mean, how many commoners, human commoners, ever break 10th level? Does a 10th level commoner even make sense? Does every single member of the Raptoran race have to hit 10th level before they can fly? It seems a little absurd. They did this for balance issues, so you could play a 1st level Raptoran without a level adjustment, and I understand why they did it. However, in trying to achieve that balance, I think they created a race that doesn't make any sense, because you're going to have a race that's going to have as many flyers as we, in our human race, have professional basketball players. There just aren't that many out there. Yes, people can aspire to that, but most people aren't ever going to get there. So what's the use of walking around with these big things on your back if you can't use them for much other than gliding? Useful, yes, but it's not true flight. So I think it may have been better served to make it a level advanced race and let them fly from 1st level, but that's just me. The other thing I have a problem is their appearance. Again, I think they're kind of silly looking. However, I really like the Coup, which is an Asian bird type race, which has been around since 1st edition. And they have more of a bird beak. They're very much anthropomorphic birds. They're Asian, and I really like the way they look. And I think that if I were going to use the Raptoran mechanics, I might use the Coup culture and their appearance in its place. But that's just me. So those are the first 3 chapters of the book, essentially, those 3 races. And then you have information about some other races. These are more thumbnail sketches. They're not overly long. The cat folk, which is a +1 race, a classic kind of cat race. They're fast. They're dexterous. They have some minor physical attacks because they have claws and teeth. Very useful at their +1 level advancement on that one. Then we have a playable centaur race, and they actually have a monster class, so you can start playing them at 1st level. And advance them forward up to 6 hit dice because they start at 6 hit dice normally. A Knoll, a Killorn, which is kind of interesting. They're kind of very nature-oriented a race. They actually can, every day they get up, they can assume an aspect of nature within themselves. And I think they have 3 different aspects they can choose each day. And they can pick one for the day, and it gives them a different bonus to their abilities based on which one they've chosen. Then we have some prestige classes. The Arcane Hierophant, which is a combination of Druid and Arcane, so it gives you a nice spell mix there. The Champion of Corellian Larathen, which is obviously a Elven religious-themed PRC. Luck Stealer, Halfling based at stealing the luck of others. Then we have a Rothar, and the Rothar is essentially elven wannabes. It's a PRC for races that want to be elves that aren't elves, so you end up becoming very tied to the elven culture. Sky Pledged, which is a Reptoran race. Stormtown, another Reptoran race. Whisper Knife, Halfling race class for stealthy rogue types. And Wild Runners, which is an elven kind of outdoorsy ranger kind of thing. Now, I have a small problem with PRCs that are exclusive. It makes sense to me that the Reptoran prestige classes are exclusive. They've got wings. Not every culture has wings. It makes sense that they're exclusive. But Halflings and Half-Elves, they're physically the same structure. Why are their prestige classes limited to just their culture? I don't quite grasp that. So I usually throw those kind of limitations out. Then we have some bits on skills and how they apply to these races uniquely. A whole bunch of feats, of course. Some tactical feats for like this wolf pack kind of attack individuals as a group, overwhelming someone. Then we get some substitution levels. Elf, Paladin, Ranger, and Wizard, and the Wizard is an emphasis on a generalist wizard, which is kind of nice. And then we have Halfling Druid, Monk, and Rogue. Obviously, Rogues are big Halflings class. The Monk is interesting because it allows you to change out your flurry of blows for an attack that does a lot more single damage. You do one attack, and it does a bonus to damage, kind of compensating for the fact that you're using hand-to-hand combat damage, which is lower dice because you're a smaller race. And the Halfling Druid, which allows you to have small and tiny forms of wild shape as opposed to larger sizes, because you yourself are small. Then we, of course, weapon armor chapter, of course, makes sense because one of the races is a winged race. It's an unusual armor requirements and some unusual weapon requirements because they fly. Some new spells, some new psionic powers, and then we have a campaign in the wild chapter about running different communities, elf, halfling, and raptor communities, how they interact with the world. Holidays, Friends of the Wild, which is different monsters that are appropriate to this campaign. And the last is, appendix here is 100 adventure ideas, which I really thought was quite nice because it gave you some nice ideas about how to run wilderness adventures. So if you like the two core races, Halflings and Elves, this is a must-have book. And if you like an aerial race, the Raptorans are interesting, but I think by not making them a +1 or +2 level advancement race, they've failed to really take advantage of the fact that they've got wings.